Hi, and welcome to Talking About Success. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, America's #1 success coach, co-author of numerous bestsellers, including the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and the Success Principles, How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. And I have a wonderful guest today. His name's John Joseph Miranda. He has lived an extraordinary life, faced numerous roadblocks early on in his life. He's overcome being homeless as a teenager, struggles with ADHD. He's lived in a gang neighborhood, and yet he's managed to turn his life around. And he's here today with 2 master's degrees, and he's a real estate agent and a lender, and he has a heart in the right space to truly help enrich the lives of others, including yours today. So John Joseph, welcome to our show.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Jack. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here. And so a little bit about my background is just sharing about my childhood. My mother actually, unfortunately, was a drug user and alcohol user as well. And so she oftentimes got in bad relationships, which led her to getting incarcerated, having to participate in women's homes, faith-based programs. And as a kid, I had to rely on family members to step in and to help out, and other community members as well. I just wanted to share a little bit about my background to those that might be in similar situations so that they can be encouraged to know that regardless of what situation you're in life, that you have an opportunity to pursue your dreams and goals. One thing that I realized about my mother is that she had untreated mental health issues, possibly depression, ADHD, and she actually is currently diagnosed with a neurological disorder that is similar to Huntington's disease. And with that disease, you're not able to walk, you're not able to talk, you can't eat on your own, you have to have a tube to be fed and so forth. And that kicked in with her in her early 40s. And so a similar situation happened with her mother and her mother's brothers and sisters and my mother's older brother as well. And it's pretty much devastating. So in a way, I'm sharing that because of the lack of treatment and knowledge and preparation for it. There was a detriment that happened even to myself as a child. So with that being said, again, background just to show that regardless of what your background is, that you can continue to strive and to find some success.
So John, I'm really curious, what was the turning point for you? Here you are, you're having all these problems in your childhood, living in a gang-infested neighborhood. What was the point where you decided, I want to do something different?
Well, you know what? Like I shared, that background basically kind of had me starting to drink alcohol at a young age and to be at partying and basically living a lifestyle that was reckless. And I found myself again about 12 years old starting to drink alcohol and to party, and I found myself in a situation with gang neighborhood. Like I said, I got shot when I was 13. It was an accidental shooting, but in the neighborhood to carry a gun at that age was not uncommon. I basically found myself trying to escape the gang violence and to get away from that area. I ended up running away from home and living as a homeless teenager. I lived with some friends, lived with my girlfriend. I stayed in her closet, hid right while the parents were away. Basically hung out with friends, stayed in their truck, slept in their truck, maybe their camper shells. Just had a difficult, uncomfortable time. I remember as being a homeless teenager, one of the most stressful things was trying to find clean socks. You could take a shower at a friend's house, you can have lunch, you can have dinner, but you put on the same clothes. Even, you put on the same clothes and it's just miserable. And still, I found myself wanting to continue to drink, continue to hang out with my girlfriend, continue to hang out with my friends as a teenager, not go to school. I was a dropout in 9th grade, got expelled in 8th grade, didn't do well in elementary, and then ultimately I thought I was gonna die on the streets. And I actually made a deal to God. I said, I promise if you let me live through this situation, I promise I'll change my life. no later than 5 minutes, a man walked up to me and said, "If you were to die tonight, would you go to heaven or hell?" And for my little teenage mind, that was like, whoa, this guy just hear me say that, prayer that I just said. He gave me a Bible and a tracts and told me about Jesus and encouraged me in faith. And I told him about my background and how I know that what I was doing was wrong. And at that point, there was a shift in my own mind where I said, I'm going to honor my decision that I made to change my life, that I made to God. And at that point, I hit rock bottom. And again, I thought I was going to die at age 14. And so at that point, I reached out to some family members. And this, made a new phase in my life where I decided to change.
So you've gone from being homeless to now helping putting people into homes. I find that very interesting. But what was the transition from, turning your life over to God and like saying, okay, I have faith, now I'm going to pursue a different path? How did you end up from there into real estate?
Ultimately, I was given an opportunity to change. And so I pursued that. And my first semester back at school, from being a dropout, I actually got straight A's. Never had I gotten an A before that I could recall in all of my academic life up until this second semester of my 9th grade year in Silverado High School in Victorville. I got straight A's. And with that being said, I realized that my efforts to change had to, basically came into effect by my grades. I ended up listening to the announcements made over the intercom in high school. And I heard about preparing for the SATs. I heard about the A through G requirements. I found out about financial aid. I didn't have any parent preparing me for college or saying that's something that was even in my future. So eventually I listened to the announcements. I participated, took the SATs. I applied for a 4-year university at Cal State San Bernardino, and I got accepted. I got a bachelor's degree from Cal State San Bernardino, and then went to graduate school, got a master's degree in education and a multiple subject credential, became a teacher in that process. And still, through church and other activities, I learned that there's more that I felt like I needed to accomplish in life. And I started learning about real estate and how there's a way to get some financial income flow. So I invested, I saved up cash, participated in a lending program, found a property. It was a 4-plex. Basically, I got a 4-plex. I lived in the first unit for free and rented out the other 3. And so ultimately, once I got involved with real estate by investing in a 4-plex and living there for free, that was my initial involvement with real estate. And then I decided that I wanted to get a real estate license and to help other people accomplish similar goals to meet their financial future goals as well.
And so just talk a little bit about your real estate work now. And it says you're a real estate agent and you're also a lender. So obviously you've become very successful.
Yes. So as I continued to try to help people, became a real estate agent, received a real estate broker's license, and started to find programs where I could help people. So ultimately, I found about a program. It's a Cal Hoffa program. It's a down payment assistance program where they will help you with a down payment and also 3% towards your closing costs. And so I found ways to help other people become homeowners. And ultimately, I saw that as an opportunity to use my research skills, problem-solving skills to help others with good credit that wanted to, make their dreams come true. So that's how I got into real estate and utilized the government-based programs to help other people meet their goals. As far as being a lender, I then began to study. I got a license to be a loan officer. I'm an independent mortgage broker and a real estate broker. So with that being said, now I'm no longer depending on another office to meet my clients' needs to do loans and then them communicating with me qualifications and loan limitations. I get to actually help them out and streamline the process where they contact me if they want to see a house. I let them know the realities of them qualifying for the home. And I also get to basically help them with the real estate contractual deadlines at the same time of making sure their deposit down payment is safe. If we need to back out of the transaction, I'm very aware of the realtor contract deadlines. And obviously I'm the lender too. If it looks like the loan is going to have difficulty, is not going to go through, I'm able to communicate to the real estate side and say it's time to back out, let them save their down payment. We don't want them to be penalized for withholding a house into escrow longer than it should be. So it gives me a broader opportunity to serve clients on the loan side and the real estate side for buyers. For the listing side, if I'm representing you and I'm selling your home, you get offers on there. I can look at those offers and say, you know what, these people have good intentions of buying your home, but they're not going to really qualify as I examine their financial situations. And I can let the sellers know that they're going to be tying up their property off the market, potentially with the buyer and so forth. So I bring added benefit on the loan side as well for those that are listing their homes.
Oh, that's great. Now, you've been very successful. You've had a lot of challenges in your life. I'm just wondering if you still have challenges. And I'd heard that there was one story that you always choose to remember when you're faced with a difficult time. I'm curious about that.
It's related to the lending program. I actually got a phone call from a client who had told me that they were homeless, that they were a veteran, they served in the military, and that they were homeless. They needed a place to stay if I could help them. And I said, absolutely, like whatever I can do to help, absolutely, right? It's not even the realtor or the lender hat. It's not the teacher hat. It's this is a person that's in need hat. And ultimately, I told him, well, about the income situation that he had, his credit situation. I told him if he needed me to help him, first step would be to fill out an application, run the credit, kind of go from there. He said, sure, he was hesitant. He was a little bit discouraged about some things on his credit and so forth. But the gentleman obviously was desperate. He's homeless. And I ran the credit. As a mortgage broker, I analyzed it and ended up telling him that you completely qualify for a home. Sure enough, within about 45 days from that point, he was an owner of a duplex. And we were able to utilize the VA loan program with no money down payment. Basically, he was on a fixed income for disabled reasons, and he needed another unit for his home care helper to live in. And sure enough, he was able to get a duplex and have a place for him and his healthcare home person to help him, and went from being homeless to homeowner of a duplex on a commercial land property using the VA loan. Yeah, it was amazing.
So John, I know you had ADHD as a kid, which I would assume made it really difficult for you to go through school. Is that something that you're still struggling with, or did you overcome it? And if so, how?
Yes, it actually took me several years to learn how to get proper treatment for it. I didn't know that I had ADHD in elementary, middle school, high school, not even college. I just knew it was difficult for me to study, took a lot of hours, a lot of time. And it wasn't until I was in graduate school that I learned that I had ADHD as I was studying to be a special education teacher. And from learning that I had it, it probably is 10 years after just trying to figure out what that means, how I can get treated for it, what were effective treatments, as some treatments actually made it worse. So until I learned more about it through the Amen clinics, that's where I got some good information about how to treat the ADHD effectively. And again, I like to use that information, all the stuff that I go through, I want to share with others so that they could better themselves. And ultimately, I was able to reach out to Tana Amen from the Amen Clinics, and she decided that she would donate to my classroom some books, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, and some resources, online coursework, Brain Thrive by 25. And just was an awesome resource to share with my students. And as I shared earlier, I am a teacher. Currently work as a home hospital teacher. And I work with students that are facing tough challenges. I have even kindergartners that are dealing with leukemia and dealing with chemotherapy, working with students that have been burn victims, if about 90% of their body, heart transplants, major depression, major anxiety, dealing with physical, mental issues that are keeping them away from the traditional classroom. So I'm allowed to go to their home. I'm employed with the school district, Pasadena Unified School District, that allows me to go to their home 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday, and to instruct them with math, with English, and social studies. And so I'm able to bring hope to my students that are dealing with a tough situation and able to share resources with them, as well as give them academics. Because of course, we're treating the whole person, which is spiritual, physical, emotional, intellectual, all those parts of a person.
Well, that's beautiful work. I know the Amens and I know the work they do, and it's always great to give a little plug to their work as well as your own there. Thank you for that. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So really happy for you with that. Thank you. So you started out with a degree called ADHD, and now you have a BS and an MS and an MA or whatever. Tell me a little bit about your education degrees.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be accepted at Cal State San Bernardino in 2000, graduated in 2004. Then after that, was able to get accepted into Azusa Pacific University, went into their teacher program, where I was able to get a multiple subject credential and a master's degree in 2007. In 2009, I finished a special education credential to be able to service more students. And after that, to continue to develop myself into what I feel is necessary for to complete my goals and dreams is I enrolled into a master's in business administration program with Azusa Pacific University, where we were allowed to travel with the program to India, to China, to Brazil, and along with our chaplain from the university that encouraged us as well along the way as we looked at business and non-government organizations abroad and studied business principles. And that was a completed program in 2016. And so I've been having the opportunity to grow academically as well.
So I have a question for you. You've been through the challenges with alcohol and drugs and living in gang neighborhoods and having to deal with gangs. If someone watching this has a friend or a family member who's struggling with those same issues, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, ultimately, I would recommend that for an adult or a family member or organization wanting to help somebody like a team that was in my situation, I would analyze and figure out if they had hit rock bottom and if they truly want to change. Ultimately, that's what it took for myself. I had to hit rock bottom, and I wanted to had to have a desire to change. It wasn't because I moved somewhere else. It wasn't because I, moved to a different city or lived with a certain person. It was I made a choice in and of myself to take the opportunity and to change. And so if you're a caretaker and you want to intervene in a child's life that's in your life, instead of maybe causing more hurt and pain and issues by just taking them in and thinking you're saving them, just really discuss and find out what level they're at. And if they are really truly wanting to change, that they hit the rock bottom. I know for myself, I had enough respect for my family members to not call them up until I knew I was ready to make my own personal change.
Very cool. So I'm curious, if someone wants to get into real estate, if they have a question about real estate, if they want to buy a home, they want to contact you, where should they find you? How do they get in touch with you?
You can always Google me, John Joseph Miranda, Realtor, or you can go to my website, johnjoseph.realtor.
So if someone wanted to find out more about you in terms of sharing your story, perhaps motivating others, inspiring others, where would they go to find out about that?
They could reach me at my website, johnjosephmiranda.com, and they could reach out to me with contact information and even schedule a time to talk on there as well.
Very good. Well, I have to say you're a fascinating individual. I really applaud your success. I'm really happy for you, happy for the fact that you're serving others through the work you do and that you're a model for what's possible. And so all of our viewers that are watching this, I want you to know that nothing can stop you if you make a decision. As John Joseph said, if you're at the bottom and you choose to change your life, there's always a way, just like his miraculous moment when he surrendered to a higher power. And so we all have that potential. And I want to thank you again, John Joseph, for joining us and for sharing your story and for living the heroic life that you're living. So, John, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers before we begin to wrap this up?
This message of hope is dedicated to my son, Tucker Miranda. I want you to know that I want you to always believe in yourself and pursue your dreams and your goals one step at a time.
So I want to thank all of you for watching this week, Talking About Success. We'll be back next week with another great guest, so make sure you join us. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Success. Remember, your success is a journey. So for more information and free resources to help you, be sure to visit jackcanfield.com/learn more.